Hi folks, and welcome back to the plot. There's a lot to get through today and I've not got long. I'm in a bit of a rush. I've only got about 10 minutes and there's some stuff to get through and I think I'm going to find it quite challenging. But you've seen the thumbnail, you know I'm going to be talking about something big, and I've been alluding to this loads in pretty much all my videos recently. I keep saying that I've got a plan on the horizon, and so I'm going to be telling you finally today what that is, because I'm going to be going away for a little while. But first, we're just going to have a quick look around because there's things I have to update you on. And the first one is really quite funny. Now, during my last episode, I actually completely forgot to talk about my harvest. And I've got a little bit of footage here. I got quite a nice little harvest at the end of the day. And there was something else I pulled up and completely forgot about. Oh, dear me. And I realised like the next day I'd pulled my carrots, but I didn't come back up to get them because look at them. They're really not worth it. These are the good ones out of all of them. These are the best. And I actually think these are probably Royal, is it Royal? The Chantenay, the small ones. You know, I think they're Diddy. I think they're meant to be Diddy. And they're slightly better suited to my soil. Unfortunately, these have now been out with the tops on for quite a few days. So they're probably all going to go in the compost, which is a waste. And it is a bit of a shame, but all the ones over here were all the rubbish. It's just me and carrots, you know, we don't get on. So look, we're going to get rid of these and just chalk that one up as a bit of a whoops. You know, these things happen. The rest of the harvest was really good, so that's the main thing. It was a very exciting harvest because I had my first proper little crop of tomatoes, and you can see there's some more on the plant here. This is the Crimson Crush outside. It's doing quite well, but inside we do have a big issue in the greenhouse, and that's the other thing I need to talk to you about. And this one has been brought into focus by an eagle-eyed commenter who somehow, they saw the spider mites on this little aubergine. I did the smallest little clip of the aubergines in the corner of the greenhouse, and they went, JB, that is spider mite damage on your aubergines. And I saw it and I thought, oh no, I'll check when I can next come up. I've just come up and yeah, pretty sure that's spider mites. They don't look quite the same as the cucumbers, but you can just see this kind of this dappling, all these little white marks, and that's where they're under the leaves kind of probing in. And it's a bit of a shame. I've given it a bit of a spray, but these have just been completely neglected, you know, and you can see the bottom leaves there starting to die off. Bit of a shame. I'm going to give them a bit of a spray with SP Invigorator, but if these have just been on the cucumbers and the aubergines, they do seem to definitely prefer some of these things. What is that? Look at that funky little larva. Looks like it's webbed up, ready to pupate. Very small though. Not sure what that is. But yeah, you know, one of those things. Luckily, the aubergine's not something I was particularly invested in. And there's a few more over here. These ones outdoors look like they might have a wee bit of damage. It looks a bit similar, but not nearly as much. They've got loads of holes in the leaves though, so I'm thinking that's probably slugs. And yeah, this nursery area, not great, but like I say, this has been a very temporary thing until I can get this next project sorted out. There is some new growth on the cabbages though. I can see it just starting at the base, so that's good. So long as there's no more caterpillars on there, that's good. Now, there are some positives in here, and in fact, let me just grab this cucumber quick too. Look at that for a positive. These Honey Plus cucumbers are delicious. They're peelers, but once you've peeled them, they're so sweet. And I'm so glad that we managed to save this. And I was so worried about my tomatoes and whether or not they were getting rodent damaged. This little wire that I've put in is for the foxes more than the rodents. And last year I said everyone thought it was rodent damage, but I don't actually think it is. I think I found the culprit, and I think it's a caterpillar. And it's a caterpillar that I found all over my tomato leaves last year. On the tomatoes as well, I've had another kind of unusual problem, and that is caterpillar damage. They're really difficult to see. It's the bright line brown eye moth or something like that. But they are just little devils, and they're really well camouflaged on these tomatoes. Really quite frustrating. It's a moth called I think the bright line brown eye, or I can never remember it, so I'll put it on screen if it's different. But I found out that the caterpillars don't just eat the leaves, they also eat the tomato fruit. And the tomato that I picked up in that last episode was covered in caterpillar poo. Massive, massive poos. The caterpillars they have really distinctive poos. And I realised I think that's what it was. So I think the caterpillar does a lot of damage and then the slugs come in afterwards. So that is, to be honest, a bit of a relief, because I hate the idea of having a little mouse or rat in here climbing up my tomatoes and getting them all unsafe for eating. You might have noticed a little while ago when I was doing my really big tidy up, my big clear up of the second plot, I made a big area here in front of me. And the very exciting plan is Polytunnel, but there's much more to it than that. It's not just any polytunnel, and I've been very nervous about this for the past week. It's been a lot. I had been kind of toying with the idea of maybe having a polytunnel in this space, and I was leaning away for it for a little while. I was thinking maybe one day, it would be really nice to have a polytunnel here on this second plot, and there's loads of space around me that's not being utilised. And I don't even know how to say this. Like I say, I've been really worried about talking about it, about making it official, but it was one of Steve's wishes, essentially, before he passed away. He said that he would love me to have one of his tunnels, and it's so sad. He had just finished building his new tunnel, and he never got to grow in it. And when he was ill and it was all happening, that was the one. It used to set me off all the time. One of those things that you would start thinking about it, and it just seemed like such a small thing, but just one of those tragic things. He did that whole series about building the polytunnel, and then he never got to grow in it, and it just something about it, and that loss of potential. And what Jesse said about gardeners always thinking about the future, and sometimes that future never comes, and I don't know, it always got to me. Anyway, a little while back I was speaking to Anne, and she told me that it's one of the things that Steve wished. He apparently said he would love to see how many chilies I could grow in one of his tunnels, and it just put the biggest smile on my face, imagining him saying that. And it's going to become a reality. It's been in the works for quite a long time. It's been a lot of work logistically and all that kind of thing, but this time tomorrow I should be arriving in Cumbria. Probably maybe as you watch this, we should be arriving in Cumbria. We're travelling up Wednesday. Thursday, I'm dismantling a polytunnel with Jess. My lovely Jess has offered to come up and help as well. I don't think I could do it without her, to be honest. And then we come back Friday, and then it's a case of actually building the bloody thing. Which you know what I'm like. So I want to keep the momentum. I want to get it up pretty soon, and I think I've got a pretty good idea of where I want to put it. But I've just been really nervous about what if something goes wrong, because it's not just any polytunnel, I'm sure it will be fine. And it will be really nice to, well, it will be obviously lovely to have it here, but it's mainly a sentimental thing. The main reason I want to do it is as a nod to Steve. I want to make sure all that work he puts in doesn't go to waste. And I know I don't have Steve's audience, but I'm sure a lot of you, well, probably most of you who are watching this watch Steve as well, and you might well have been excited to see what he was going to do with that polytunnel. So I won't be able to show you everything Steve would have been able to do, because he was a master gardener, but you will still at least get to see something happening with that polytunnel. And I'd really like everyone's advice on where I'm thinking about putting it, which is currently here. So this is plot 1, my greenhouses and my shed. We've got my apple trees and my cherry tree, little wildflower meadow, And then I'm thinking having the polytunnel run in this direction, which is a bit of a north-south. So if I was to go east to west, that would maybe go from here to there across the plot. That would maximize the heat, maximize the sun, which does rise and go roughly in that direction. So this way, the north-south it's a bit of a cooler configuration, you know. You'll kind of get a warm side over there, probably where I could do my chilies, maybe have a little potting area for the start of the season, and then a slightly cooler area over here, probably well suited for tomatoes and things like that. But that's just the idea. I've kind of roughly marked out. So it's a 10 by 20 foot. So that kind of stake there, and this one here, and roughly kind of there to there. So it would be fairly substantial. And I think that's where I probably want to have it. But, you know, the second plot is kind of a blank canvas, and it could go on here, maybe from there to there, or from here to here. So very, very interested to hear what everyone thinks about that. The corn's looking okay, isn't it? Oh wow, it's really starting to do its thing. I had lots I wanted to say, and I'd loosely planned, and I'm sure I've said absolutely none of it. I thought it might be a little bit emotional, but a little bit more emotional. I think it's still quite a raw thing, and it's such a big gesture. I was kind of bowled over when I heard that Steve had said that, and yeah, I also want to help out a little bit with the allotment and kind of getting it ready and doing all that kind of that stuff, you know, so it will be really nice to do that as well. And I might film a little bit of it. I really want to be as respectful as possible, you know. There's things to think about, there's considerations to make. So you might see some of it, you might see none of it. I'm not too sure just yet, but there's not going to be any videos for a little while because, like I say, we're going away. So I just wanted to let you all know what the plan was, and finally let you know what I've been alluding to, because when I've got 2 greenhouses and a polytunnel, I won't have any issues with like stupid nursery areas anymore. But I think that's that. Thank you ever so much for watching. Wish me luck, and an extra special thank you to my Chili Pepper tier patrons: Tony, Bill, Pam, Louise, Mel, Michael, Denise, Socks in the Garden, and Craig. Hopefully I'll see you all very soon.